What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 9 of Between Two Coins. We are joined today by a very special guest. Last week we talked about Cardano. This week we are shifting over into the world of NFTs, and we are joined by one of the fan favorites, Jim from Invaders. How are you doing today, Jim? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I had the discussion about Cardano last week. Lots of good stuff in there, and some skepticism as well, which is always healthy. So
yes, yeah.
I'm really delighted to be on your show, and we're going to get into the world of NFTs and Cardano NFTs, right?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I would say we're going a step further from last week, because last week we were just talking about Cardano as a whole, and now we're getting into the specifics of one of the projects of their NFT line. And so again, fan favorite. I know we have a lot of people waiting for this interview. One of our own, Ted TZ, he is like a kid in a candy shop about getting to watch this interview. I know also Mike Markle, one of our favorites. He is super excited. I think there's a giveaway the details will be announced at the end. I think Smay has those details. You know the details?
I don't.
Wow, that's great. I know they told me there's a giveaway, so I don't, that's a good start to the show here, guys.
There we go.
There we go. Boom. But yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say we can double that up, because I know Mike is an absolute asset to the project, and is just a great guy, and has been really not just a member of the project and owns the NFTs, but has had a lot of really helpful suggestions, has broached us being able to be on the show. So he's going to do a giveaway, but we can also do a giveaway. So I think he's giving away one of our NFTs, which is one of the new collection, and we can give away one of those as well, either as part of the same thing or separately. So yeah, however you want to do it.
Cool.
And those are currently, I think, worth about 450 ADA.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Before we're going to ask you a lot of questions about Invaders, I got a question about your background, because I'm assuming those are Invaders behind you. Were those Darth Vader themed, inspired? What's going on with the ones behind you?
So the ones behind me are one of the things that we're introducing to the project is what we're calling the Galactic Senate. And so
that's got some Star Wars vibes to it.
Very much so, yeah. And so the image you see behind me, it was one of my favorite things from the things we put out recently, is basically all of the Zaguris, who are the race or the species from the first season of Ada Invaders. They're all standing in an intimidating line, ready to enter the Galactic Senate. So there's an element of Darth Vader about them, but I think if you look at different ones, the inspiration kind of quickly changes. So some of them are kind of Star Wars based, I suppose. I mean, some of them look, they have sort of the face mask and look a bit like Tusken Raiders, but some of them are look very different. I think it's just a real blend of like sci-fi inspiration. Actually, probably the most the strongest inspiration is kind of like 50s and 60s kind of comic book alien, like Mars attacks and alien type of invasion stuff. But there's definitely some Star Wars in there as well, of course.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, so tell me a little bit, before we jump into your story specifically, let's talk about Invaders. What was the inspiration that went into the creation of Invaders in the first place, and how many people were involved in the creation of the project?
So there's 3 of us. It's a team of 3 of us. We're all friends. We're all based in the UK, and we all work in, loosely speaking, in the creative industries. And so my background is in copywriting and speech writing, and like narratives and stuff like that, storytelling. The co-founder, so I'm the co-founder. My other co-founder, his background is in branding and design, and he co-owns a branding agency here in the UK. And then we work with a 3D artist who we work with professionally on non-NFT projects, on like animations and visuals for websites and products and stuff like that. So we were all very, very, very into crypto, like before NFTs. In fact, if you want to go way back, all the way back to 2012, we were involved in a kind of pressure group called Positive Money, which is all about educating people to do with the nature of debt and government debt and some of the challenges with fiat currency. So we go this thing for us goes way back, but then we started getting into NFTs sort of like around this time last year, really, which it seems like a really, really long time ago, but I guess it's not. And I think because we were already into Cardano, and you mentioned on your show last week about, people were, people tend to be very, extreme in their feelings towards Cardano.
Yeah.
And we were sort of big fans, it's fair to say. And so we were always just basically into Cardano NFTs and CNFTs. And honestly, we saw a bit of a gap in that we looked at some of the stuff that was coming out on Ethereum, especially the kind of, I suppose you'd call it the sort of higher end 3D art. And we thought that there was some stuff like that on Cardano, but also a gap for higher quality projects to actually launch on Cardano. So we wanted to do that. And then the other thing was that we generally we just thought it would be a really fun project to do, and it has certainly been that. So we do creative, we're friends outside of work, we do and have done creative projects before, stuff like making a magazine, or making we did posters and flyers for stuff we were involved in before. So it was almost like we were spending all of our time on NFTs, buying NFTs, researching them, flipping them, and we were like, we can definitely do a project and do it really well. So that was really where the background came from.
Yeah, even speaking of that, you said you were involved in NFTs beforehand. Let's talk about NFTs just in general, and then transitioning how you got into Invaders. What were the things in your you just purchasing NFTs and dealing with them? What caused you to go from wanting to be a consumer into a creator? And what is, I guess to clarify that even, what are some of the lessons you learned from being a consumer that transferred into being a creator, and then now lessons you've learned as a creator that you wish you could go back and do from the very beginning?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And I think that, I think it's really, really important as an NFT, creator or sort of project dev or whatever you want to call it, to have been involved as a consumer. Because I think that, now the NFT space is, let's say, a little bit more mature. I think that you get projects that are arriving in it that have, let's say, just a sort of general understanding of what NFTs are. Maybe they hire an artist on board, they hire a dev on board, and they try to do it in that way. And I think that those are the projects which aren't necessarily built to last, because they don't have the experience of being a consumer. So it's quite a unique thing, understanding, sort of how, I don't know, even just the terminology and how people are and how quickly things move on and all that kind of stuff. So I think that my perception of being a consumer of NFTs, it wasn't long. My period of skepticism with NFTs was really short, in that, I think everybody has, when someone will show them and be like, oh, these JPEGs are selling for like $5,000 a pop or something, everybody is like, whoa, why? Like, I don't understand. Like that, I think that's everybody's initial instant reaction, and I think that's fair. My journey was really quick to being like, no, I get why. I get the inherent value of having a limited supply image which connects you to a community of other people who have that same interest and image. And this was, I think, probably, I think a lot of NFTs are kind of more utility based now. I think back then it probably was more the sort of degen, just, this is a picture of a monkey, this is a picture of a cat type thing. But even still, I still kind of got the inherent value of why people were doing it. And then the flip to thinking, okay, well, I'm enjoying being a consumer of these things and still am a consumer and a trader of NFTs, to being a project creator, was really genuinely thinking collectively that we could see how we could do something, different, that wasn't necessarily in the space at the time, but also something that we could do a good job with, and that could be combining a sort of passion that we had with the professional experience and work that we were doing, which would ultimately be a lot more interesting and fun than the our sort of day-to-day, the way we were using those skills day to day, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Well, you talked about your investment before. We'll keep diving into some more stuff, but I'm interested. What is your favorite NFT project you have seen, other than Invaders, obviously, that you love and you have a hold on?
It's interesting because I think it changes quite a lot, and I do think that naturally, once you become a project creator, you do drift away from being involved in other stuff. I mean, the project that really got me going in NFTs and I'm really obsessed with was Dead Pixels, which I don't know if you've come across, which is
I don't know if I know Dead Pixels.
Okay, I'll send you the link. It's
I'm gonna look it up.
It's one of the, I think it's definitely one of the more successful projects on Cardano. It's essentially interactive, pixelated, generative NFTs. The developer behind it has built a marketplace, which I think is probably the best marketplace on Cardano, even though it's just for that project. He's a game developer and they're sort of building a game out. But that was the one where I really invested probably more than I should have done in those images, and really, really like them and still have them. So that is, that's definitely, gotcha. I think probably overall, I'd say, obviously outside of Invaders, that's probably my favorite NFT project. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, going back to, I thought you said something to me. Going back to something you said earlier, one of the things you talked about is purpose. You talked about when you were creating Invaders, the concept of, yes, at first people were kind of just making it for fun, but now as people are starting to make them out, community is a big deal, charity is a big deal. What is the purpose of Invaders in what you guys wanted? Was it just for fun, or did you guys have an exact purpose and meaning that you wanted behind everything going on?
Yeah. So our, I guess, sort of USP or the thing that makes Invaders unique or sets it apart, I think, is that we tried to be a kind of story-based NFT experience. So I think there are sort of different categories of utility of NFT, and some of them are sort of gaming based, some of them are sort of metaverse based, in a sense that the expectation if you buy them is that you're going to be able to run around in a sort of 3D open world with your character. Ours is a bit more analog than that, in that you are buying into a story, and the story is called the Battle of the Blockchain. That's its kind of the sort of macro name for it. And within the Invaders program, we will have different species of aliens. We'll have different characters that have, we one of the things that we do quite regularly with the community is sort of, we have kind of story-based missions. And so we are trying to ensure that Invaders, being a part of the Invaders story, owning one of the NFTs or multiples of the NFTs, kind of ties you into the story a bit. And what we will do in the future through the model of the Galactic Senate is essentially have the owners of the NFTs directing the way in which the story progresses, right? And so it's not like a video game where you're running around and you're pressing buttons and stuff. Did you ever have when you were growing up, I think you guys are probably around the same age as me, maybe a bit younger, but did you ever have the Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure books?
I didn't. Smay, did you?
No, mine wasn't books, but I used to actually watch these like little YouTube Lego Star Wars stop motion videos that were like the Choose Your Own Adventure type. Back when YouTube had annotations that you could click on, people would make these playlists that then you could go on the YouTube video and click the different paths through the annotations. And so I get the concept you're talking about.
That.
For me, it was a little
different.
That.
Yeah. Exactly that. And we think that, one of the things is that we think that that's achievable. Like we think that we can do that. We can pull that off with the size of team that we are and the level of investment that we have. And I think that, you know, you see with other NFT projects, I think they, you know, can often sort of struggle to you know, to make good on those, you know, sort of promises made pre-mint, because frankly, unless you have a, you know, sort of blockbuster team of 20 to 30 developers behind you, you're not making a metaverse. And well, probably more than that, to be honest. That's probably putting it lightly. But anyway, I think that, you know, our thing has always, you know, and will continue to be around the you know, the sort of delivery of a narrative. And I think that doesn't appeal to everybody, definitely not. But I think for the people it does appeal to, Invaders does, you know, sort of tick those boxes, and especially on Cardano. So I think it's cool. There's a lot of different directions you can take that. Like, we're going to do sort of physical graphic novels of some of the stories and characters, and then those can be like available as NFTs as well. There's ways that you can take that.
Yeah, now I heard you say at the beginning you're the kind of more story guy, the copywriter. Are you the one writing the stories?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any do you have any sneak peek stories for any of our listeners that people could be expecting?
Well, no, but we have so you know, the next sort of major milestone in the story is the arrival of the Galactic Senate. It's going relatively slowly, but it's going, you know, it's keeping pace with the development of the project, if that makes sense. But in time, we have sort of full you know, full stories and stuff. And actually, one of the really cool thing that happened the other day was some of the fans who had a really high quality production setup did a sort of reading of some of the background of the lore, which was really cool as well, because ultimately I think that's what these projects all need to accomplish, is to have their communities feel a sense of, you know, common ownership of it. And I think that's what we're really keen to do as well. And there are aspects of the project, and basically our next mint will be creating a community wallet through the proceeds of the sale, which then give the owners of those NFTs a greater stake and say in what happens with the funding. So it stops becoming, okay, I'm here, I'm selling you an NFT that then you have, but I've sold it to you and I'm a seller, you're a buyer. It's then we both collectively take ownership of the project, essentially. And that's what we want to get to.
Gotcha. Well, you know, I'm on your website, and you know, you're talking about right now, there's season 1, Planet Zaguro. Is that, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, I'm not the foremost greatest pronouncer of words.
He has a really hard time.
One of the greatest,
with names.
you know, people give me a hard time when they super chat and their name is not of the English language, and I think sometimes I've actually butchered English language words. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, no, I think you just I like that you're trying to soften the blow, but I think you're just bad with pronouncing things. And
no, I mean, to be fair, most of the ones are actually hard to pronounce. Listen, you have your fair share of butchering some
I definitely
names.
don't.
That was a lie. Anyway, back to NFTs. You know, so I see some other phases coming out. Is there already dates, and is there times already set for every single phase and every single new? Because you know, these are creatures. These are like, it's like a species. Are there already? Have you guys planned that out already, or is that something you guys are holding close and you're announcing it step by step?
Yeah, so it's more step by step, but the season 2. So that will be, so what you see on the website and behind me and everything, that's the NFTs are from season 1, and that's the Planet Zaguro.
Yeah,
and they're sort of the first sort of vanguard of the invasion, and then there will be other planets involved and other species involved. So season 2, we're thinking will be around January next year, because it takes a long time to develop these, and we have other things sort of to do before then, like UFOs. We're going to have UFOs connected. Basically, that's the mechanic to get to season 2, is they need to be collected in UFOs. So we have UFOs that we'll be developing, and then season 2 will be a completely different species, so they won't look like this race. They'll be different, and also they may be you know, they may be good, they may, they may be heroes of the story, they may be villains, there may be sort of offshoots where you have different smaller species that are have distinct purposes, etc. But the next full sort of NFT drop of aliens will probably be January next year.
Well, that sounds super cool. I mean, I know anyone who's watching, if you guys want to go get here, again, a lot of our fans already invested here, and you guys can go look into them. I want to kind of go a different direction. What, as we talk about NFTs, and we talk about the future, you talked a little bit about why you chose to make a NFT with Cardano.
You stole my question, dang it.
You want to, you know what, Smay? You get to ask the question.
Yeah, I was like, I was holding on to it, and then, okay.
You have the,
so here's the question. Obviously you're in the Cardano NFTs, right? My question is, now that you've got this unique perspective, you're a founder of a project. What's the reason why you guys chose Cardano to build your NFT project on? And what are the advantages of Cardano's blockchain compared to other more popular NFT hosting blockchains?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a really good question. And I'm certainly not a technical guy. I'm not going to tell you why Cardano blockchain from a technical perspective.
Me neither. So
I would understand it's quicker or better or more secure or whatever. So myself and the co-founder, I really didn't, and I saw you listen to last episode. We talked about how I think the founder, Charles Hoskinson, can rub people up the wrong way. I think perhaps comes across as a bit, kind of arrogant in his like pontificating on how other things do it. And, we've got a peer-reviewed paper, so it's automatically better. I get that. But at the same time, personally, just for me, I found him to be a very accessible speaker on things to do with, decentralization, future of finance, blockchain technology as a whole. And so did the co-founder of the project as well. And so for us, it wasn't like, we didn't think, let's do an NFT project and then let's weigh up the different pros and cons of the different chains. We were just like, we will do a CNFT project because we know the space a little bit. We understand, even just like Cardano wallets and things like that. So it wasn't really a question for us as for which chain to do it on. Now, I'm certainly biased when it comes to, the pros and cons of Cardano, because I would look at it, I would say, you have, for example, as a very sort of basic, rationale of having, sending large transactions for mints and not losing, anything on gas fees, like that happened with the, Bored Ape land sale recently. So that is, I would say, in a way, it's a kind of instant win. Now, I know that at times there's been, congestion on the blockchain and things have moved a bit slower. Again, I'm really not the person to ask when it comes to, how is Cardano going to sort of scale over time? How is it going to improve? For me, it's more about the philosophy of how the blockchain is developing and the eventual vision, stuff like, banking the unbanked and, Charles's vision for, essentially blockchain utility in future. The work that the IOHK Foundation is doing in developing countries and stuff, that for me is more so the rationale of why Cardano than, say, I don't know, is it quicker? Is it more secure than Solana? One thing I will say is that I do think that Cardano as a whole could do a better job. And to be honest, I think this about the whole industry and NFTs and stuff in general, could do a much better job of branding itself, because I think that Cardano is, I don't know, it does come across sometimes as a bit techie, as a bit sort of, I don't particularly love the logo. I don't particularly love the, some of the way that some things are communicated, because it seems like, unless you have a, PhD in computer science, don't even bother trying to get into this. And I think that my own personal opinion is that it's probably unpopular in sort of tech circles anyway, but user experience is very, very important. And what Apple was able to do, with sort of Steve Jobs and what's his name, Wozniak, back in the, whenever it was, late 80s, is to turn the idea of sort of personal computers into something that your common person who wasn't interested in technology at all would just be able to use in their day-to-day life, by including things such as a mouse where you could move it around rather than having to, type out lines of code to actually access your, computer. So I think that the whole space, to be honest, from buying and selling NFTs, how crypto wallets look, a lot of the stuff just needs a sort of user experience revolution. But I don't think that's unique to Cardano, but I do think Cardano does need to do a better job of that.
All right, well, here's another question, because I think we've really hit home on the NFTs, and I think something you mentioned that piqued my interest was that you said you've been involved in cryptocurrency as a whole for a really long time. And so my question is, since now you've gotten involved in NFTs and you've gotten in the thick of it, you're founder of a project, a very popular project a lot of people really like. Now, from this perspective, how do you think that's kind of changed the way your regular crypto investing has changed, the way you see the crypto market?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was a lot more. It was for me, it was a lot easier to spend a lot more time in the whole space since NFTs, because I think that, and it comes back to what I was saying before about, technical analysis and looking at graphs and sort of reading kind of papers about how different blockchains are building is fine. But at the same time, if you can just take that and drill it down into a picture of a tiger or something, I think it makes it a lot more accessible. And it's kind of a bit of a flippant comment, but I do genuinely believe that it makes it a lot more interesting to follow your investments and to follow the markets when the markets are sort of represented by profile picture collections, which can say something about who you are. And you can choose to have rather than having a sort of, you're sort of represented by a graph or just the logo of the blockchain or the company that you're investing in. If you can be like, this, for whatever reason, this goat with sunglasses and a joint and a cap or whatever, this kind of says more about who I am and where I'm at than just the sort of technology itself. So I find, for me personally, I find NFTs a much more compelling way, and a much more, a way that for me takes a lot more of my interest and time than just cryptocurrencies or sort of blockchain investing in kind of blockchain technologies did. Now, I know that's not for everybody, but for me, it definitely is.
Now, even kind of following that question, because, we're talking about NFTs here. Are you still heavily invested in coins themselves like Bitcoin and Cardano and Ethereum, or have you kind of moved all of your attention into the NFT space, especially, during this bear market, that's not a lot of holdings are profitable right now, but yeah, what is your situation there? What are you doing with your crypto holdings?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, to be honest. I mean, I think that I definitely went through a phase of basically moving a lot into into NFTs. And the other thing is, I certainly wouldn't want to present myself as some fantastic investor over the years, even recently. It's not that, certainly hasn't been something that I would be like, yeah, I've had like a fantastic portfolio success all the time and everything like that. So I'm not saying that these are smart decisions by any sense, but yeah, I did move a lot of my holdings into NFTs. Just to the point before that they captured my interest a lot more, and I found myself thinking, once I started to sort of get involved in a project and community, I thought, I want to be a bigger part of that, and I want to have a larger stake in that, probably more so than I was thinking in having a you know, an investment in a coin at the time. So I, you know, not totally, it's not as though I totally moved, you know, everything into NFTs, but yeah, the majority, yeah. And that's still the case. And I would keep, yeah, that I think I would foresee that being the case for the foreseeable future.
Now, here's a question I had no intention of asking, but I was thinking about it right now, and I'm like, okay, it's not every day we get to talk to people that are in other countries, because you're in England right now. I know you said your team was originally from there, but you're in England right now. What is the crypto atmosphere like in England right now?
Yeah, it's mixed. I think that we have, I think we have a really strong, you know, London in general and England is you know, one of the financial capitals of the world.
Yeah.
And we, I think, have a very strong, you know, you have Silicon Valley, we have something called Silicon Roundabout in London, which is a collection of, you know, tech companies. And I think that there's a huge amount of innovation in the UK sort of crypto scene in general. I think in NFTs, you know, there are, I think, you know, an increasing number of successful sort of European and British projects. From a sort of regulatory and governmental perspective, I think that there is a sense of, it's almost, you know, it's a bit two-faced, because I think that the government overall, and I think this is true for the European Union as well, which obviously the UK isn't part of, but, you know, closely connected to, of saying that, you know, crypto assets are, you know, highly volatile and speculative, and you may risk losing all your money. And you know, there will be some statements such as, you know, these assets are worthless and we really highly recommend you not be involved in these. At the same time, the Treasury and the finance ministries really recognize, and, you know, they have been very strong on ensuring there's a you know, a strong sort of tax regimen for you know, incomes from you know, gains from crypto, and they like that. They like the tax income. One of the things that the Chancellor of the Exchequer, which is our sort of finance minister, has done is they want to mint an NFT as part of the Royal Mint. So, you know, where the money is made. So I think there's an interest in understanding that crypto and blockchain is a technology that's here to stay and has a huge amount of potential. And any country and any government that doesn't want to attract that kind of innovation and finance and all of the good things that come with it, I think would be, you know, I don't think would be very smart. So the UK scene, I think, is sort of, you know, it's two things at once. On the underside, it's very positive, but I think the overtones and what you will hear publicly is usually quite negative. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just interesting because obviously here, you know, we talk about, you know, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, but then how the world economy is working. And like you said, the British pound is one of the foremost fiat currencies. And, you know, we're watching that right now, even as we in the United States sitting here worried about the US dollar with the inflation rate and everything. Of course, you're over there in England, you know, we are getting to a place where in my lifetime and in your lifetime, we have never seen the British pound and the US dollar be so close to each other in value. Like I was talking to somebody the other day, we were getting, you know, I went to London when I was 13 years old. And I remember doing the exchange, and you know, you're 13 years old and you don't fully understand money. All you understand is that you gave them, you know, I think at the time I took $300 or something like that. I took $300 US and I got back 150 pounds. And I was like, well, I just cut my money in half, you know? So at the time didn't really understand that. Now, obviously I knew, you know, the ratio was roughly $2 for every 1 pound. I think at the moment, the most recent one was like what $1.14 per pound or $1.20, maybe it was $1.20 per pound. It is getting almost 1-to-1 ratio. How has that been for you currency wise being in England? How has that affected your day-to-day life, how you're spending money on goods, your housing, everything else? Tell us, even from an economical standpoint, what you guys are going through right now in this economic climate.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's, you know, it's not dissimilar as I understand it from the US, and we have a huge problem with inflation.
Yeah.
Of a lot of food, energy, fuel. Noticeable how much more money it costs to run your car, for example. Housing, I mean, energy is the big one where I think they just it's gonna be up sort of I think £800 more per year.
Wow.
To 2,000-ish pounds. So it's almost potentially almost doubling, and the government has to do stuff about that. But it's no surprise that governments are struggling with inflation. If you look at what the monetary policy has been for so long, there's a good very similar graphs to the ones you see in the US, where if you look at the sort of purchasing power of a dollar over the last few hundred years, and I think for the UK it goes back to the sort of 17th century, and you look at how the value of the pound has been decimated by quantitative easing, pumping more money into the system, whatever you want to call it. And I think that really is one of the main reasons for being interested in the potential of cryptocurrency to address that. But we're feeling we're definitely feeling it too. And wages, and this is not saying this for myself, but for everybody in the country, and I'm sure it's the same in the US, wages don't rise in the same way as cost of living is rising. And unfortunately my view is that is probably we're only at the sort of start of the problem over the next few months, years.
Well, yeah, no, I know, we're keeping up to date on everything happening in England because, of course, whether it was the exact catalyst that caused this, it probably was at least definitely related to right as Bitcoin and Cardano and everything else started to take a little plummet here a couple of weeks ago. It was right on the heels of, the U.S. Fed came out and they announced a 50 basis point hike. Then the day after, the Bank of England came out and it announced only a 25 basis point, but I guess you guys had been increasing your interest rates quicker than us. So you guys at the moment actually still have a higher interest rate than us. But it was funny because Powell from the Fed was almost like, well, we're going to raise by 50 basis points, but it's not that bad. We're going to be okay. And then I don't remember the name of whoever runs the Bank of England, but he was, came out and said 25 basis points, but gave a little more, it wasn't FUD because I don't know if it's fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It was actually more like, hey, we got a problem here. And then I remember it was that day after the Bank of England announcement that it seemed like the floor from Bitcoin just fell out, and then Terra Luna did its thing. And so it is an interesting time we're living in, but all the more reason, like you said, that we explore cryptocurrency. And I think that's going to be really interesting here in the next couple of months and years as people begin to wake up and open up their eyes. Like you said, when people are seeing all this, I think a lot of people who haven't learned a lot about currency and the history of currency are tempted to just want to go on as things go, and they're like, oh, it'll be okay. You know what? Things will get a little more expensive, but it's okay. I'll get job raises and stuff. And it's like, well, raises won't mean the same that they used to. Like at this point, you'd have to get it in the United States, for example, you'd have to get an 8% raise just to keep up. And it's like you're still making the exact same. You're not really advancing whatsoever. So it's going to be interesting watching as our societies wake up and say, oh my gosh, fiat currency is broken. We need something better. So yeah. Well, last question I had, let's go back to your NFTs for a second, and we'll be able to wrap this up. Where can people go buy tell us a little more about how people can get involved with Invadaz and any recommendation you would give them maybe on how they can go about doing that.
Yeah, sure. So I guess, it depends on people's level of knowledge. If they're already involved in NFTs and Cardano NFTs, then they'll they may be aware of it. And then you can just go to the places that you'll be familiar with, like JPEG Store, CNFT tools, and take a look and see if you like any of them. For people who are, I suppose, still not familiar with NFTs, or maybe have NFTs but don't have them on Cardano, definitely check the space out in general. I think JPEG Store is a good place to start. That's the main sort of secondary marketplace where Cardano NFTs are sort of bought and sold, and you can have a look and you can see what projects are doing well, what some of the newer projects are. If you want to learn a bit more about ADA Invaders, then yeah, you can go to our website, which is adainvaders, all one word.com, or really the best place and the place that has the most information and the place you can start to connect with the community is Discord. And Discord is really where the majority of NFT stuff happens. Yeah, if you check out ADA Invaders on JPEG Store, there's links to our Discord and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, if you do see this and you want to come say hi and mention that you saw it here, then yeah, drop into the Discord. And
yeah,
it's a friendly place, I promise you.
I teased at the beginning there's going to be a giveaway, so I found out, did my research while we were live, so Mike Markle, he put this on Twitter, and I'm going to read this out for you guys. He said, to accompany this episode, I will be giving away a Moon Squad medallion from my personal collection. I will account the details Saturday, so that you guys are watching this on Saturday or later. He said the way you're going to enter to do it is to follow first himself at KindCryptoDuder, and then you got to follow CryptoJeb at Twitter, and you have to follow ADA Invadaz, so that's ADAINVADAZ. Follow those 3 accounts, and you'll be entered for a giveaway. And again, go look on Twitter. It's going to be really cool for any of you who are already in that family, and you guys want to get more NFTs. For anyone who's looking to join an NFT family and community, that'd be a really cool way to enter. But Jim, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and telling us all about what you do. I look forward to probably I need to splash my toes into the NFT space. I still have not done that. Smith, have you gotten into the NFT space?
I have one NFT, but apparently TZ told me after I got the project that the NFT Turtle King NFT gave me, that project got rug pulled.
No,
so
that's rough.
So I guess, I'm back at square one. I mean, I have a really cool picture of a Turtle King, and I appreciate it, TZ. I love it. So we'll see. See.
You know where to start.
Yeah, exactly.
We know where to start.
I'll get me an Invada. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
For letting me come on, talk a bit about the project and everything else. And I hope your NFT journey starts very soon. And
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jim, and thank you everybody for watching. If you loved this episode, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more content like this. Every single Saturday we have an episode of Between Two Coins, but Monday through Friday we have our show Coffee and Crypto Live that you can go in and look at everything that's happening in the market, specifically Bitcoin, but others as well, to know how you should be handling your investments. That's all I have for you guys in this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Look at this guy.
He watched the entire video.
What a cool guy.
I think the next thing that he wants to do is hit the like button and then probably even subscribe to the channel.
And perhaps even comment down below what he thought.
That would be pretty cool.
Wow. What a cool guy.